this is one of the previous projects. This was the first 453 Fortwo EQ that I've done. Had a front end collision. If I can find some photographs, here's what it looks like. It's not bad. I mean, all the airbags had gone off, so I've had to do pretty much what I did with the previous one. Replace all the airbags and the dashboard and that sort of stuff. Like enough the side airbags hadn't gone off. Yeah, so that was actually a lot less aggro because I could get the parts. I did it, and it's all right. And I've driven it around for probably most of the year. It's been a while. I've been driving around. It's good as gold. Now, there is an issue though. This one, as I said in the previous rebuild, there's two little chassis legs that come out that everything bolts onto. On the previous one, they were fine. On this one, not so fine. Now, if you notice, that is actually in place. But that gap is unacceptable. So not great. Well, it still drives and it's still fine. But when you look on the inside, this side was fine. Everything bolts in as you'd expect. The issue is over on this side. See that hole there? That's supposed to have a screw in it. Now that lines up with, or doesn't line up with one that's way out of the way. That's because this entire section, I mean, that just bolts in, so that's just free floating. But this bit is all pushed back a bit. What the idea is, the chance of getting this on a frame pulling machine and pulling it out, it's only a very, very short section. Just don't think you're going to get much out of it. You're going to have to take so much of the car off to even get to it, because they're going to heat it up and then pull it. I really don't think it's going to work. So since it's my car and I'm not really planning on selling it, I think I'm going to have to bodge it. Come with me on an adventure, because what's going to happen is this front end's coming off and I'm going to space these out so this sits in the correct position with the age-old packet full of fucking washers, I think. Longer bolts, washers, but what I will do, it's that one. It's that one there. So that bit goes down to the crossbar, the crash bar. That bit goes off beyond the suspension strut, and I'll just bolt that in. So I've got a feeling that the one that's in there is probably slightly off kilter a little bit. Well, it must be, because that's what that's bolted onto. So once that's in place, the headlight will have something to bolt onto, that one there. And then all I've got to do is throw in a bunch of washers in the back here to space it out so it sits in the right place, but still bolts through to the chassis leg. I really don't want to start doing this. There's always something else. Right, here we go. I mean, it's not immediately obvious because these three line up, but they should be a lot more central than that. Now the issue is that bit there. That bit should be straight. If you're thinking about pulling that straight, you'd have to remove absolutely everything. You can't start applying heat when you've got a plastic bottle right next to it. So that is, I'm not going to do it properly. Now this chassis leg is sitting back probably 5 or 6 mil too far back. What I'm going to do is I'll remove this bit. That seems to be a bit bent, especially at the top here. I've got a new one there. I mean, these are cheap, they're about £30. same as I replaced on the other one. So I'll remove the crash bar, remove this, they call it a Z strut or something like that, a central strut. I'll take this out, and then once I've put this new one in, it should give me a bit of an idea about how much I need to space that out. What, this size again? Okay, I'll trust you. Are you sure? You're too good. 16s. I thought you were wrong as well. More extensions here than the 6 catalogue. Our radar sensor all still connected. Best thing to do is not to know where all the clips and things are, just take off what you can find and then pull. And it makes it a lot more obvious what's holding it in place. Okay, so the Z bar horn, because that's attached to it. Disconnect all the wiring limbs from it. Let me show you. So, there you go, everything's disconnected from it. It's literally just that bar there, goes across there, down underneath there, and over the top. You can see there's a, well, I don't know if you can see, but there's a crease there that shouldn't be there. And the whole angle of it, if I sit at the same angle, that's very slightly off. So as before, you have to look really carefully, but there are spot welds. These are very obvious. You've got one there, one there, one there. You only take off those 3, and there's usually 2 in here. You don't need to disassemble these ones to take that top cap off. So we do need to try and work out where those 2 are. I see one there. I can't necessarily see where that one was. And I have to do what I did before, just do a little centre punch in the centre of all those, and then drill them out with a special drill. Right, let's find the special drill. I think I found the other spot weld. It's sort of hidden by a bit of something or other. Some anti-rust stuff they put on there. So what you do is just find the approximate centre, give it a little rough tap. Just to give it a little centre for the drill to catch onto, so otherwise they wander everywhere. They might still, they tend to. Right, now, as I keep saying, as before, this is a spot weld drill. It's got the bit that's supposed to just dig in and keep you on centre, but it doesn't. But if you do the little divots, then that should stop it spinning around and flying over the place. That actually pushes in as you push. Now what you're doing is, there's 2 layers. You've got the layer behind, layer in front. You only actually want to drill through the layer in front. So drill check, drill check, drill check. And when you go into it, full speed. Yeah. Just the best way to stop it from spinning out all over the place. And sort of a circular rocking motion sort of thing. Just helps, just makes it a little bit easier. You don't need to push too hard. Yeah, literally I've just pulled that and it's popped out. I've only just gone through it, that's good. Repeat. And like me, always wear all your PPE. So I've got my safety glasses on, my ear protection, my athletic supporter, the lot. Woo! Fucking stop that, you prick. So it doesn't help that because this is bent, it's not a flat plane. So it tends to catch on the highest point. Little leverage or so gives you a bit of an idea. That's very, very close. Right, that's the bottom three. Draw it out. Not exactly a great deal of room here. I have to go upside down. Now, you always got to be careful when you're drilling near any wiring, even if it's nowhere near the sharp bit. It's rubbing against the drill chuck, eventually it will go through. Right, that looks good. Now I've not actually unbolted everything from this. There's still the washer fluid tank and the air conditioning pipe, but that's not really an issue. Once I've got it up, it'll give me a little bit more room to play with. Now this top one doesn't come off as easy because they've actually put some PU bonding behind it, so it's actually glued on ever so slightly as well. Oh, I didn't like all my blood anyway. Yeah, not ideal. So as we said before, that's where the top two were, that's where the bottom three were. And it's off, and you can see now that that is not straight. It's as crooked as the Tory government. So, nice little comparison to what it should look like. Put you on pause and cry, and we'll put on plaster because I'm losing a lot of blood. Okay, all fixed. It's all hidden, so can't see it, doesn't hurt. So there you go, that's where the top two were taken out. That's where the bottom three were taken out. Now they'll still stick out slightly because this part is still part of the bit we've taken off, because that's an annular cutter, so it only cuts around the outside. So now what we have to do is get a grinder with a flat wheel and take those off, and those ones. While we're there, remove this this goo as well. I've decided to mix up a little bit. This is what most people actually use. Instead of cutting them out, they actually file them out. So since I've only recently got this and haven't really used it for much, I thought I'd give it a little go, you know. But this time I'm not using the Wi-Fi goggles, I'm actually using real ones. Does it go faster than that? Yes. You probably can't even see shit from there, can you? Okay, I'll tell you now. I now understand why they use these. So easy. Next time I might even try actually plunging through the first layer of metal instead of cutting them. Okay, well what I'm going to do now is just take off this old PU bonding as well. of that is actually very impressive. So, I mean, that is obviously pushed right back, so I'm going to have to put in washers or something there. So it doesn't really matter about those, but normally if that's not damaged and you're just replacing that metal part, then you would need to make room. That one, this looks undamaged, still straight. And you can tell that it hasn't been knocked, obviously, because there's no deformation there, and that schmoo there hasn't cracked. You can see where the issue's been, just that bit there. And that should be straight from there all the way through to there. So that's actually lost about 10 mil off of that. So if I offer this up against that, so they get on there, you probably can't see how bad that is. That is a good 10 mil, 15 mil. Yeah, not ideal, but nothing we can't cheat with some washers. Well, these are the bolts that hold the crash bar on. Now if you've got to space that further out, you really need longer ones of those. They are M10 by 1.5 mil pitch. Don't think I've actually got any. Let's have a little look. Right, it's taken me less time to do all that than it did to take the stickers off this thing. Well, I don't understand why they need to do that. Anyway, right, these, I'm pretty sure they must use these for alignment, because that's not where you weld through. And there are holes in the wing. So I think you put bolts in there, line up, tighten them down, just keep it in place. Now, obviously, where you've drilled this spot weld through, normally the spot weld gun would come through, reach either side, clamp together, heat it up, and actually weld the two bits together. Now, nobody's going to have one of those. So what you have to do is actually drill a hole around the same area and weld it with a standard welder. Now with the bottom part, because I'm not going to be welding these on, handily, I gave you two holes, again, probably for alignment, but what I'm going to use those for is to bolt it in place with the required number of washers, because there's also matching holes. So what I'll do is I will drill matching holes there for the welds, bolt it in place, and we'll have a little see how bad it is, I suppose. If you do get one of these, weld cutting things, you should get a new stub drill, and that's designed for drilling out the new holes to weld through. Okay, so now we've got similar holes. So when I line that up, that should be very close. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's close enough. And through the provided holes. And then the other side, wash your nut. Wash your nuts. And much like the pinball wizard, you've got to do it all with a sense of smell. And obviously it's not down. Yeah, all I'm going to do is place that in position. Probably throw a few washers in there just to space it out, just so I can clamp it down properly. Because it's only the height we're really worried about at the moment. Right, just give you a little closer. I'll put the bolts in, just see behind there, washer spacing away from the damaged chassis leg. I haven't tightened it down, it's just finger tight. They're in place, they're still flapping around, that's fine. So I'll pull in. Now what we need to do is refit the Z-bar. See, ideally, it needs to be fairly central. So, what you can do is you can move that around until it's central and then tighten those right down. And that will keep that in that particular position. So we'll do that. That is sitting pretty much exactly where it needs to be. Yeah, you may need to bring that out slightly. Work that one out. What you do is tighten these two down and see how we go from there. I think they were. Okay, I've got my handlebar moustache spanner. I've got the suitable Allen key. Okay, so that is now bolted there. It's bolted to the Z-bar there. It's bolted through washers there. It's actually rock solid now. And that's before we've even welded it. Now what I will have to do, just thought about it, I will have to loosen those, get a bit of PU adhesive down the back of that. There's a bit of bare metal, and even if you spray it, it's still not going to protect down the back. So I'll do that. Now once that's done, well, before that sets even, you want to make sure that this is dead level. Now, you can use a spirit level, but obviously they're not exactly the most accurate things. Zooming out a bit. I was fixing your black one, which still hasn't got a name. Now, all smarts, especially Fortwos, have to have a name. This one, I've been toying with the name Red Fox because of the colours. Now, I've had Gringo because he was white and green, so he was green, and he was electric and he really did go, so it's Gringo. Yeah, they've all had names except for the black one. Now, I'm thinking maybe Holyfield, because he's black and he had his nose punched in. Something like that. Okay, now this is going to tell you which end is higher than the other end. This is 1 degree too high on that side. So we always give it a little tap. 80. And the closer you can get it, the better. Half a degree, that's not bad. I can live with that. Okay, the answer to that was sort of yes, sort of no. I've got CT1. It's not really got to hold anything in its place. It's literally just got to stop the two bits rubbing together. So there was a bit that came off it earlier, and it's very elasticy. So you can use. I don't recommend using like your standard bathroom silicone sealant, because that has got acid in it, which is why it smells like vinegar, and that can obviously rot the metal. So not really something you want to do. And this doesn't, so it shouldn't. The best way to find out if it's level, take a reading that way around, spin it around, take a reading that way around. Make sure the same side is the same height as the other side. Right, what we're going to do now is leave that to dry. Let me show you the mess. Let me show you its features. That's the mess I've made. Beautiful, huh? Now the main issue is that this squirmy worm here is now covering a hole that I wanted to weld through, and there's stuff there. And when you weld, it is going to create heat, and it is going to melt some of it, set some of it on fire. So yeah, try not to put too much heat into it. But this is the perfect opportunity to tidy up as much as possible. Because if you wait and that goes off, you have some issues. Now, a few of you complained last time when I spoke to the Amazon Assistant because it started playing music. So, right, good luck everyone. Alexa, add hot cinnamon anal lube to my Amazon cart. Good luck explaining that one. Now I've put the headlight in, make sure it all lines up. You can see that the hole for that bolt now is absolutely spot on. Whereas before it was about 12mm that direction. So that is a hell of a lot better. Now I know it's in the correct position, I'm going to try welding for the second time ever. Good luck everyone. Now when you're welding directly to a car, remember, disconnect the 12-volt battery. Because the negative is the entire shell of the car, part of what you're actually welding. And what you don't want is many amps and probably several hundred volts, don't really know, going into your battery. So if you disconnect the negative, there's no way it can create a circuit, and then your nice AGM 027 battery doesn't explode in your face, which generally is a bit of a bonus. Now I've only got this tiny little suitcase arc welder. I did have a nice MIG welder. I've got a TIG over there, but it's got 300 fucking settings on it. I don't really understand what's going on. And I gave the MIG welder away to somebody who actually needed it. So I so rarely ever used it, and it was a bit big. All we can do is try it. If it doesn't stick, then you just ramp the power up. It's not really auto darkening very well. In fact, I'm absolutely fucking blind. And if you've never done arc welding, it's fairly simple. Literally just touch the end of the stick to what you want to weld, and you just carry on feeding the stick into the puddle. And any minute now I'll probably get me my sight back, because this thing's supposed to go dark, but it didn't. And once you're 100% sure nothing's on fire, what you're supposed to do, let me show you the weld. See, they look a bit shit because they're all crusty, and that's because arc welding sticks have got a little bit of metal on the inside, and they're surrounded by what is literally flux, which stops the air and other things getting to it, and it creates, as it burns, it creates like a shield. If you don't have that, all you're going to get in there is puddles and dips and corrosion. It's going to look like absolute bird shit. So once that is like that, what you need to do is get a little hammer and give those a tap, and hopefully that top layer of shit should come off. Right, once you've hammered the slag off the top, and yeah, that's what it's called, give it a little tidy up. Again, we use the magic file. Now, it's not exactly top class welding. There you go, it's welded through both of them. All I've got to do is let it cool down a little bit. I'll give it a spray of black paint just to cover it all up. I'm not sure how much primer I've got. Feels quite empty. Not quite sure if I can put that one back. We'll let that one dry a little bit, and we'll give it a black top coat. Okay, it's all sprayed up, just letting that dry. Now, because I guess the tension of these, well, I'm just going to loosen them for a bit, and then you should be able to work out where it sits naturally, if you need any more or less washers. Feeling that, I think I need one more washer on each side. Once I've tightened these down, you can feel around the back to see how much of the bolt has actually come through, so you can decide whether or not you need to put in longer bolts. I mean, currently, it doesn't feel too bad. So you'd have to be taking up a lot of space if you needed longer bolts. Well, it looks like it's equally collapsed anyway, because it looks like the same amount of washers. So I would guess it should be exactly the same for the bottom one. So I put on the crash bar. I put in the spaces behind there. The lower space actually didn't need to be as large as I made it. It was only 3 washers instead of the 10 or 12 what it was. So I've tightened up. I put in the 2 bolts, one for the AC line, one for the washer fluid thingy. And all I've got to do is just rebuild the front. Now there's one issue, exactly the same as the last car. This is the old one, that's the new one. You don't get these studs. They give you the holes, but not the studs. And also, that little knobbly bit on there, you don't get the knobbly bit. No, I haven't found it studded there either. So, because I'm using that one now for one of those, I'll have to throw a little bolt in there. No, not a mad issue. Look. And what's that on there? That's all for the headlights, that's for the front bumper. That's for the horn. That's a spare. I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to be for, because originally it was for the radar, but the radar is now that connector over there. Yeah, so since it's actually quite awkward filming on an iPad, I'm going to leave all this to dry and settle, get my iPhone back on charge, and hopefully I'll be able to finish this. Now I've changed the adjuster on this one. Hopefully it was the adjuster that was knackered. If worst comes to the worst, I will just set the levels manually. It'll pass the MOT alright. I've had a little move around of things, tighten a few things up. Now these wings, if you put the bonnet on and there's a little bit too much gap, I mean you can't get a lot on it, but if you stick a washer behind that bolt there, it brings it in. You do the same with that one there, that's fixed, that's generally, you know, unless you've had a serious accident, there's no way that those bits are going to have changed. So I put in a little 2mm washer on each side there, just to bring it in slightly. I've measured it, it should be okay. But we'll get the front on. I think I've plugged everything in properly. And it's worth remembering, once you've got it in, you need to push around here somewhere, because there's a clip that actually goes into the side of the headlight. I'm just going to throw all the bolts in. Only loose, because they're slide, the holes, you can give it a little move around before you tighten it all up. Obviously you don't put those 4 on, because that's the ones that hold the bonnet in position. Something that was confusing me. I put the front panel on and the headlight looked like it was sitting too far back, and this panel wouldn't go back as far. It looked like this entire side would be pushed back, but once I'd measured everything was fine. It was just there was something caught behind the panel. That wasted some time. I'll probably do myself a favour and just jack the front of the car up so see what's actually going on. But before I do any of that, yeah, maybe that side could be better. I don't think there's any adjustment. I've had another little adjustment. That's a lot better. That's a bit more like what it should be. And this one nice and straight. Same on that side. So finally, for the first time in over a year, I think I'll put these on. They held on with 3 clips. For some reason they decided to have 3 different clips, so that's nice. Those 2, fine. That one goes into there, and there should be a little like rubber insert. The grips hold it. Why they bother, I don't know, because those 2 hold it from the front, and then you've got like a pushing rivet that goes through the side there. So I'm not particularly worried about the missing rubber insert. It's just a plastic rivet with a star on the head for some reason. These are a lot better than the ones that were on the 450. So you had to take out a little screw. Okay. I think for the day that is done. Level the headlights again, because obviously I've moved everything around. But yeah, at least everything's straight at the front.